Daylight to all. The difference in spiritual warfare. Let's discuss. Already the word warfare, war, something going on. Where? In the spiritual. In the spirituality of who we are and what we are. You may think the obvious. Why would someone want my soul? Why would there be a war against my spirit, for my spirit? Well, that all comes down to you and who you are. And no one knows you better than you and God and the Spirit. Right? I've made a decision, ultimately, with the help of my father, several years ago. And I made a vow to him, I made a vow to myself. And I did that vow simply because I didn't want to be a version that wasn't real to me. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to act in that version way, or at least continue. Some may see it as in a worldly way. And there's levels to it, but for me, now looking back and being able to understand and see clearly, there has always been a war for my soul, my spirit. So up until I made the vow, I was already understanding and knowing who I was, and I also had the knowing inside, the instinct, my spirit. It helped me know this is not a life that I want to truly live. It's not a life that I should be living, and how I'm living it. That just like most of us would hope that we deserve better. And that's what it was, that I knew that I deserved better. And I just knew better. So I made that decision. And I say this because I made the decision of course, with the help of my father in some sort of spiritual way. But I'm saying this to say I made the decision off of like my choice, of course, and just my choice without anything pushing me to, in a way, outside of me. And I know that other people, it doesn't matter what happens to them, it doesn't matter what they go through, they'll never choose a place of isolation, choose a place to protect their body, guard it, make a vow, become celibate, abstinent. No. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter. There's people that have diseases that the Bible calls plagues, that are contagious, that there's no cure for. And that doesn't stop them from not only living, but within that, dating, still having a sexual lifestyle, and so forth. So when I say that I chose it, that was it. I did it off of free will and just before anything could happen. Like I say, I know that my father had helped me somehow spiritually, because I know leading up to that day, I had dreams. I had a few dreams. Nothing pertaining to me making a vow, but it was at a point in my life where I had this epiphany with myself. I remember I was in my room, sitting on my bed, and I remember waking up really early those mornings, like around dawn or 5 a.m. And it felt nice, it felt good, I felt energized. But I'd wake up from these dreams, and at that time I would truly understand what it means. But I know outside of the dreams, what I was telling myself was, okay, knowing that I had a sheltered life, this was back when I was, say, 20, 22, 23. I said, okay, I want to put myself more out there. This was my mindset. I want to start going out just like any young person. But this is me, right? And this is probably what my father is looking at me, hearing. He's just like, what? Huh? What do you mean? What's your plans? I remember because I felt like I was reaching this middle ground where it was like, okay, I'm either just going to go out there or I'm not at all. And it wasn't coming from a sincere place. It wasn't coming from the authentic part of me, right? I was going to, if I did, eventually become someone outside of myself. Because what is out there? this is a young 22, 23. So even still, even though I wasn't out there, I still knew what was out there, right? And I knew that. So I was saying, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to meet, I'm going to meet connections, however that was going to happen. I don't know. But this was just me in my head, like almost like these are the plans. And I do know that it was coming from a place of like, what's next? In my mindset, what's next? Right? Just like, there's more than this. There's more. I'm supposed to be out there, or I'm supposed to be meeting people and, having a life. So that was my plans, to take control there. But me taking control and him taking control was totally two different things. My control was going to steer me down a ditch. No, so he instantly was like, nope. And this was all like within the same week. And I had the dreams. I can't remember exactly what they were. I don't want to think too deeply, but I can say that the dreams were like my typical dreams in my dream world. It didn't have anything to do with, like I said, the vow or the world and worldly things. No, it was just dreams. And every time that I wake up from a dream, I'm always inspired, because it reminds me of God. It reminds me of a higher version of me. It reminds me of another me in another world, another place, better place. So that instantly kind of helped me, woke me up a bit. And I remember that if anyone had any access to me that same week, it was something that, say, the person may have said or did or didn't do. Like, oh, we're going to go to the movies, which was kind of like random, but ended up not happening. Just random things happening to where it made me delete, just delete. Whoever had access to me, to where it was just like easy to make my vow. It was like, okay, for some reason, this person canceled, or this person, it was the same scenario. Like, both people canceled something or a plan. And for some reason, these are the things that I'm talking about, the spiritual things that my father was doing behind the veil, that it made me, and I remember acknowledging this back then, because that's when my testimony started. I said, I know Father, I know Father. But I wanted to delete them. It was like random. I'm sure they were just like, what happened? But I didn't give them the chance, because it was just like, it was like that, like a snap of a fingers, a blink of an eye. Like it wasn't like I was numb, because I just didn't have any residue. It was like, I know this person, but I don't know them enough to care. But I cared enough because it bothered my integrity. That's what allowed me to just delete them. I think, like I said, it's miraculous. He knows me. He knows the way my integrity is set up. Yeah, it may come off like, what's the word for it? However it come off is however it'll come off. But at the end of the day, it worked out for the best. And I just ended up deleting them all in the same week. I think it was 3 people that, because at the time I only had like 8 contacts. Like I said, I've always been to myself. So the 8 contacts were like my family and maybe like 3 associates. And for some reason, those 3 associates ended up like trying to make plans with me, all in the span of like a week or 2. And they all canceled somehow or something. And again, there's something going on in the spirit. I know it. And so when it happens, I say delete, delete, delete. And then right after that, I make my vow. After that, I start testifying, going on live, doing my thing. So that day turned into a month, and a month turned into 2 months. And then eventually the fear was gone, right? So this is 24. So it all happened very fast. It did. It was like, and then we're here, and I'm 31. So I haven't written these things down. I've talked about it in my testimonies, of course, but it's not something I think about too often. So forgive me if it sounds kind of all over the place. But whatever you can take from this, I'm just also seeing what I can get from it. So there was definitely some spiritual warfare going on, as it has always. And of course, it's evident to who won or who's winning. And it's like smack in the face. It's Father, right? It's my Father. It's the Father that's like in my life, whoever he is, right? If there's 2 fathers, the one that has me, right? The one that's like, yeah, she's mine, because I'm taking her out of the world. I'm doing some things behind the veil, because I don't want her to go into the world the way that, most people would normally. And that's what I was in that morning, I was planning it. I was planning it in a way where, again, I was going to use my social media, right? I had Instagram. So I'm like, oh, well, I can just look stuff up, being a rookie and things, because I knew I didn't want to just go out there. But anyway, regardless, yeah, I was okay, up early plotting and stuff. And yeah, no. He said, no, sir. Well, no, ma'am. And Father, I don't know if I've thanked you. I'm sure I have, but thank you. Because who knows, who knows? Like, I mean, I do deep down, I do, because I know what's out there. And I also know what approaches you, right? Married men, just predators altogether. And you just don't want to be the person to just end up in a situation that you could have learned from or you could have avoided. So yeah, my 20s were spent the last bit of my 20s were spent, to myself, safe, minding my business, in good health, right? So there's no regret. And then there's also no fear of missing out. It's not like, oh, I wish I could have gone here or traveled here. Like, no, I don't feel that way because I know that I can travel any day, right? I can, like, am I crippled? I can still travel. So who's to say that, oh, your 20s are supposed to be for this and that, you're supposed to have, this and that, and it's just like, that's not true. And I think most importantly, you need to know that so that you won't feel a certain way if it doesn't happen. So with me, I don't feel regretful. It saved me, truly. It truly saved me. And if you know yourself, right? If you know the way you are, right? I've spoken about this before. Like I live an introverted life, but I'm very extroverted. I like to have fun, I like to laugh, I like to have a good time, just like most people. But yeah, I'd be too much for this world. And Father knew that, to save me from it. That's just what he did, and that's what he's doing. Because if I'm out in this world, right, and I'm searching on top of the things I've gone through and didn't have, like, oh, I didn't, I had a closed life, a sheltered life. Okay, so I'm open to friends. But me being out in the world, open to friends, who do you think I'm gonna come across, right? Already when I was in the world, the people I did come across, that was enough, right? It was enough without even having to be in relationships with these people, right? I could just be meeting them for the first time. Not a date, just meeting up with them. Like, oh, who are you? How are you? And seeing how that even, the way people are, their entitlement, what they expect. I mean, none of us is perfect, right? But overall, just the overall, yeah, so he definitely just saved me from a lot, right? He saved me from just a lot when it comes from in the world. And I want to thank him for that, because there is a spiritual warfare, and my soul differs from someone else's, of course, but in a way where they see it. Most people, whoever the shoe fit, wear it. Some people can go out there, live a normal earthly life, whatever normal is. Now it's coming to the point where what is normal, right? Like what is normal? But when I say normal, I mean what we've been accustomed to. Like, oh, okay, so it's normal for for young people to go out there and make mistakes, quote unquote, have fun, get into things, sin, right? Sin, 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 sin. And I say that in that way because if we're sinning while we're young, like when we're in our early 20s or whatever, and we're sinning and we're sinning, like if we're doing adultery or something like that, we're messing with married men or married women, things like that. Um, what goes through a young person's mind, I think, is, let me think about this before I say it. Well, I don't want to say that it goes through their mind, but I feel like when people think back to their younger years, they feel like, oh, well, that's normal. You know, like that's what young people do. One second. Let me turn off my heat. Don't ask why it's on. I had the air on last night. Where was I? So, yeah, they say, oh, it's normal. And let's be real, like this the the flesh side of me would say, okay, understanding, because I understand how it goes here. But the spiritual side of me says that's still not normal. That's still not right. You know why? Because the spirit never lies. And when we're young, say we're 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, you know, when we're in our 20s, period. Even below that, hopefully you're not really out there doing much below 21, but you still know, right? You still know this man is married, because in your spirit, for me, I like to know things. So my spirit is going to make sure I know. So I'm going to ask questions, right? But regardless, what I'm saying is that you still know, right? And we may have intentions. Some may have intentions to deal with certain people, whether they're married or not. So we still know. It's just, oh, we're young, so we've learned and we'll never do it again type thing. Okay. But that's a whole nother topic. Before my mind flutters again. My soul is evident, right? He wasn't gonna allow me to be out there, like be out there. I'm sure people know what that means when you're out there. This isn't like, oh, you met a few people, met up, you know, got a little bit of experience of the world. No. Went to a little lounge every, you know, twice, 3 times in the year. Like, no. This is, you're out there. He wasn't going to have me do that. No. He didn't even want me just out there, period. He said, in the house. In my house, daughter. I need you in the study. I need you on the council. And I said, all I can say is, dang right. Because that's exactly what I've always inspired to. That's exactly where I aspire to be. Right? Just like anyone, I would hope most people would aspire to have the privilege to be taught by the source. Let me put some respect on his name. My father. All that God and stuff. Put some respect on his name. Father, right? but the source, like I'm getting my studies from the source. And then to know, like, I inspire to speak justice in the world. Call that a judge, call that a lawyer, call that a therapist, whatever, right? I've become that voice, and all that I wanted to be, I am. And I've spoken about this before, that that's where my philosophy comes from, is that I have become those things, though in the world you may not see it that way, but you'll know to see it. So I speak about how, you know, you can just be these things, or you can. So let me say it this way. I've gotten my knowledge from my father, of course. And the question may be like, how though? You know? And I say, well, I was in his study, right? I'm on the council, but how? How, if you're here and he's there? Is he in your room? Like, do you hear his voice? Right? So, all the spiritual warfare started in the beginning. So it's all the things that I had to go through and get through along the way. That's where it came from, right? The knowledge and the wisdom is in you. You have eyes, you have ears, you have a mouth to speak. What I've seen, I speak about. What I've been through and I walked through, I speak about. So that means that I've been made aware, that I witnessed. So that makes me not naive or not oblivious. So that makes me knowledgeable of things. Yeah. So then my philosophy is on that side of things, that I did not go to school. So it doesn't take you to go to school to be all that you are, all that you've always been, or all that all that I am. It didn't take those things. Now, those things are great things, but that's another topic. The topic, my way that I know my father wanted people to see was exactly this. That it just takes you to use your eyes, use your ears, don't cover your eyes, don't cover your ears, right? This is all the philosophy. And then it's the interpreting, just interpreting the same message, that I am who I'm supposed to be. I am who I always wanted to be. But I don't have a degree. I don't have a license. And then I say, well, that's a bonus, right? That's a bonus, because I'm being already built up. With understanding and knowledge of this world. And this world should be about justice, though it's not. Though it's not, and that's why there's no justice system. So that's why you don't see me in those seats. You see his workers, because this was always never a place of justice. And so you see how they pass their torch down through their bloodline, right? Even if you go to school for it, you might not get picked. They're probably going to give it to show partiality. It's all unfair. Now, am I saying that if you shouldn't try, or no. I'm just saying generally speaking, the way you see things, the way they go about it, their process. Overall, my part in this purpose was to show the world whatever the shoe fits, wear it. Whatever you see and understand. Now, yes, I interpret it and yes, I say it sometimes, but ultimately what I'm saying is know me to see it. If you know, then you know. If you hear it, then you hear it. Because it's not out there, right? He's not out there. He's not in that building. He's not in those all those other textbooks. Yes, he may be in the Holy Bible, but he's in me, right? He'll be in you. Not everyone, but whoever this is pertaining to, whoever actually is of him, right? He will be in you. And of course, I'm speaking about myself, but whoever may listen, he's supposed to be in you. That's what he says. That's at least what the Bible, Holy Bible, King James, whatever version, that's what it says. So how am I going to defy the truth and say that's a lie when, or I don't know, when the truth is I do know? Because I'm very knowledgeable and wise through the building up of my spirit and the breaking down of it. Like my whole existence, my whole testimony is a prophecy. My whole life aligns with the verses. Or at least what should be happening to you, the revelation of the wisdom of being built up with strength and integrity. Nothing that I've ever said has been a lie or not aligned. It's all just confirmation for me. It's all just reassurance as I've spoken. That spiritual warfare, the difference is that, of course, they would want a soul like mine. I'm the real thing. I'm not an imposter. I'm not someone that has studied this in the schools, like the school way, or studied it by man to become something of this with integrity and to sit in that seat, to be worthy of something. Being the real deal is a threat to the spiritual. The spiritual warfare that's against your soul. It's a threat. Do you see the difference? And, oh, well, why don't he just not bother me? Well, he wants to take everyone's soul. Satan, the serpent, right? He's after the children of God. So what does that mean? That there's children of him and then there's children of God? Exactly. He's not after his children because he already has their soul. They're already of him, the spirit of him. So why would he be after your soul? And what makes your spirit so different? Well, I just answered it. Because you're of God. But let that not be a verse. Close the book. Close the book. Because let's say the book wasn't here. You would start to realize these things because of who you are. You've been your own witness, have you not? Not in a way that you testify. Well, let me say this. not in a way that you have to testify. Maybe let me say it this way. When I say you've been a witness to yourself, I'm saying that you've been in the world to have watched, heard, seen yourself the whole time. Through your ups and downs, through your cries, your anger, your sassiness, your mean side, all of it. You know yourself. You know your ways, the ugly ways, the real low down, nasty ways. Right? You know your ways. So you've been a witness to yourself, learning yourself, realizing things about yourself. Isn't that what it's about? Right? So bear with me. So yeah, we'll get back to that. But continuing, of course Satan doesn't want the soul and spirit of his children. He already has them. He has them exactly where he wants them, in his house, doing his work. So what sort of souls and spirit would he be enlightened to have? Would it be minds, right? Not only that, but you kind of stick out, right? The Bible says set apart, but we don't know the Bible right now. So let's say you kind of just isolated, you're punished, you're the black sheep, right? So on top of that, even if everyone's in the house is God's children, for some reason, it would be easy for him to wonder, as I've spoken back in one of my testimonies, the door is open. And he's wondering, like, who's in the room all the time? Oh, the same person. Let me see how everyone else is feeling about her. So it's really evident to where and how the spirit reacts to you, how it feels about you, without actually fully seeing it or fully knowing it. There's just the signs. If you are that black sheep in your family, then that should show you the sign. He wants you, just like God wants you. And he wants all of them. He wants everybody. But your soul and your spirit differs, does it not? Why are you not treated like every other person? If every other person is fine and dandy and normal, and you're just the same, right? If everyone is God's children in this house and you're not trying to be special because you don't know anything about trying to be special, but you see that clearly there's something special. I say it very maturely now because we understand what it really is, and it is that you were special. But back then, no. They wouldn't say it that way. Well, the world wouldn't say it that way. No. You asked them what they did say. They said you were the black sheep. They said you were the bad one. You were the trouble one. You'd mess up someone's house. Yeah. It was all negative. So, but anyways, that's what I mean. We can say it the typical way, the earthly way, or we could just say it just for what it is and always will be. You're special. You're always special. And that is what makes you different. The spirit, the spiritual warfare, the difference. He wants everyone's soul. But you know what? You make it unpredictable. You make it hard without even trying to. That is what sets you apart. That's why there's no partiality. That's why you don't know anything about being special, because you're not trying to be. And that is why, again, you're set apart, because there's so many questions. Who is this soul? Who is this spirit? We need them, right? When you say, oh, I need this one on my team, and mind you, you can have many, many people on your team, but what qualifies you to dial in to certain folks, a certain person, certain particular things? You say, I got my eye on this one. This one seems special. Well, there it is. So you wonder why you live a sheltered life. You wonder why things happen the way they do. You wonder why people get plagues and all the things, diseases, and they still out in the world. You would think from the surface they still have happy spirits, nothing's troubling their spirit, and they dying inside. They're sick inside. And then you, me, on the other hand, I'm healthy, want to stay healthy, but I made the decision to stay inside. I made the decision to be with my Father, to do my studies. I made the decision to start speaking my testimony day and day out. I made the decision to trust my instinct, follow my spirit, right? And work on me. Sacrifice it rather than going out in the world or going to school. I was focused on me. Isn't that crazy? Where I made the decision to make a vow because I knew I didn't want to be those other versions. Truly. And also didn't need to be. Especially if I had a father that was for me, right? If I had hope. And Father was looking at me that morning while I was over here making plans like, okay, so I'm going to start being more open. No. Father was like, excuse me? I know what you thought, because he said, baby, you have hope. You have a prosperous future. My God. Yeah. Because again, like if he did not do what he did, whatever he did, align me with what was necessary, I would have been out in the world just like a normal quote unquote person, because they put their hope in it. They put their life depends on it, right? Like they see this as like, this has changed my whole trajectory. He has changed. That's an understatement. My whole life. I mean, my God, does it speak for itself? And I'm not just speaking of my upbringing, because that alone was, not my will literally. I at least have a choice as an adult, right? I still can leave the house. I don't have to tell anyone. Shoot, I pay my own bills. So a lot is different, where you can see on the surface that I should have, and that I do have free will. But he changed my life to where he was like, I'm not leaving you. Not to the extent where you're going to be out there, right? Because again, he allowed me. I sound like a daddy's girl, but of course, like I'm a sinner too, so it's not like, oh, like I never did anything and he kept me just, no, like I still did whatever, what I dipped my toe in some stuff, but my heart was always still home. if you understand that my heart and my soul was always home, right? I still deep down had good intentions, right? So even though I was never in relationships with people because I wasn't looking for one, it was the beginning, right? It was the beginning of my 20s where, okay, I'm living on my own and I don't have friends. I don't have this community. So I have to start in the beginning. So that was my plan. Like, okay, I have met a few people online. That's not the best way to meet people. And I don't want to continue meeting them that way. Right. But I did. So my plan was, okay, I want to go out there. Yeah. You see what I mean? I wanted to go to these places, whatever these places were. That was initially the direction, right? Before I even got deeper, before I could go into details, like, okay, where am I gonna go? And what I'm gonna wear, and let me buy this, and let me look like this, and look cute, and all the things that may seem normal, quote unquote, to an average human living in the worldly world. But let's think of it on how Father would feel if there's a spiritual warfare against my soul, right? He made sure that I was gonna be out here to get enough experience. Like, I went on a date before. Well, I don't, I met people before. I had sexual encounters before. I've had those things before. But is it I'm gonna butcher that word. So let me just dial it down. Was it full throttle? No, but it was enough for me to just know, like, okay, I know what this feels like. I know what that looks like. Okay, got it. So the next thing was like, okay, well, let me start taking more control, right? Because you can't really take too much control when you're meeting someone online. Because by the time you meet them, it's too late. It's like, dang, I could have saved time if I met this person in person, right? It could have saved me time from lies. Some people will say catfish, never been, but catfish can mean in so many different levels. Like, you catfished me and what you said where we was gonna go, or what we was gonna do, whatever. Lies. So, or just the fact of yeah, that's a whole nother topic. This is a freelance. It's all right. It's okay. Yeah, so yeah, Father was like, and that's what I mean. I just had plans to be more open to the world. What the world had to offer. Just like a normal quote unquote human. I was thinking like, or wanted to be more human, right? And initially that would allow me to blend in. Like, okay, I'm going to start being open. I could see myself now looking like a regular person because it's like, oh, you made friends. Oh, you finally got friends now. Okay, Allie has friends. Really? That's different. So I was like, yeah, let's. Now it's crazy because I never was desperate for any of those things. It's not like I was needing it. Like, oh, I need it. No, it was just that, okay, I'm in my 20s. Like I said, I don't want to be meeting people online. I want to be at least meeting girls too. Like, and I do remember, I do remember within that time frame, I did try to contact a girl online. I went to the girl side of it, and for once, and I was like, oh, hey, just pretty much saying like I'm available to meet up and like chat and get to know each other, go out as potential friends or whatever. I didn't say all that, but that was in the back of my head, like, I don't really need, I don't know, it's weird because it's just, I mean, it's not weird, it's just weird to speak out loud because it's like I already know, and the knowing was I wasn't really needing it, but I just felt like I should do those things. You understand? Being in your 20s, shoot, your 30s too, but and then not having friends, it's like, well, I do want to start exploring more, so I think it'd be best to at least have a friend or have someone like a girl or so, because the few guys that I met after the first day of meeting, they try to give you an ultimatum, or at least the few that I've encountered. And it's usually the ones that you're really not interested in, because if you are interested and they might get lucky, who knows. But yeah, the ultimatum would just be, if I do want to see you again, but I'd rather us be, I guess, together. Not friends. I'm not looking to just be friends with you. So that had to end right then and there, because I wasn't going to say that I was going to be in a relationship with someone that I just met the first day and that I knew that I wasn't even interested in. So that also was kind of like, okay, well, then I got to start over again. I would have to meet someone again. And that was the thing. I didn't let it prolong. So that's why I was like, I'm going to start actually being more intentional and planning. But even still, like I said, my planning was not sincere. No, it was more for like self gain, things like that. And all the things that you would hope that if you had a father, had someone, they'd be like, skirt, they take the will and they say, nah, that was never gonna happen. So, and that's what happened. Like, I'm just giving gratitude as well to him, because who and I kept saying this. Like, I said this when I first made the live as well. I said, even the few encounters that I had before I even went out into the world, like before I even went out meeting people at these places, like before I could even go out there, let alone, it just was the people that you'd meet online, right? The few people that you met that you weren't even the first date, right? The first meetup. You're not even in relationships. This ain't even the second date. Just little encounters where it's just like, oh, if this is already weird, I can only imagine how it would have been if I was actually taking control, dressing up, doing all this, going out there. Man, Father says, stop it. Stop it. Okay. So, yeah. He said, class is in session. You better be there. And I was there. I was here, studying, understanding, coming to understanding, healing, all the things that could be given in the spirit. Because again, this is spiritual warfare, and he taken, I was his, I'm his. So he was teaching his daughter. He was making sure that I was where I was supposed to be, where he was going to make sure I was. And there is a verse that says something like, I'm going to make sure you get there. That's it. That message. Like, you're going to get there. And I love that, because that's just confirming that, yeah, it may not seem like it. Yeah, it may not feel like it. Yeah, you may not look like nothing. But if you're his, he said, oh, you're going to get there. I'm going to make sure of it. You will have a prosperous future. I done freaking promised you. So you don't need to know how, and just know. You will know when you know. And so this is one of those moments. that it's just like, within these 6 years, I could have been out there. I could have been out there, and Lord knows what could have happened to me, what I could have gotten, diseases, broken heart. I don't know. Who could break my heart? I don't know. You get the message. Broken mind, bad mind, broken body. Who knows? Broken spirit. All of it. All of it. So, yes, there is a spiritual war. And there's a difference. Because again, there's people that have things going on with them, and you see them still living life, and they'll get on live and get on TV and say, I'm still living, as they should, right? We're just acknowledging it, as they should. I'm still living life. I'm still, looking to mingle, and you from the surface, you would never see nothing wrong. You would have never thought, okay. And then here I go, from the surface, you think, dang, is something going on? Are you all right? When really, it's my soul. It's my soul, right? But that wasn't my point. My point is, I'm actually fine, right? I'm actually good. I'm healthy. I'm not sick or anything. But it's just the truth that's in me that saves me from all of those things. And that is why, because I'm getting this in my mind, deceiving. That is why the surface could be so deceiving. That is why God searches the things within. Because just what I'm saying, there's people out there that you would think would be in my shoes, living the way I'm living, because they are sickened with plague or, something. But no, it's opposite. Just like everything is reversed here, bad is good and good is bad. It's actually the healthiest people, the most peaceful people that choose to stay inside. You won't find them out there. You won't find them out there. So if you ever that's what I mean, you can't judge a book. And that was really the thought, if I didn't already say it or I didn't say it all the way. That was the thought that I had that I wanted to express, because it inspired me to make this live. That there is people out there living their life knowing that they wretched inside, right? They're sick, decaying, they're dying. Just acknowledging it. And then you're over here healthy, blessed, rich in the spirit. You ain't rich on the surface, but you're rich in the spirit, and you over here in the sanctuary. As people would see it as wasting your life away. Yeah. But the Bible says you're gonna lose your life. Literally in all types of ways of seeing it. It's all the same. Yeah. Because if I lose my life literally for the truth, so be it. But spiritually, I have, because I'm not going to settle for this crap. Right? I'm not going to continue putting my life, my soul, my body, my health, my sanity at risk. You understand me? Especially knowing the lifestyle I want to live. And it's not a lifestyle out there. It's a lifestyle of peace and quiet. If I'm at risk and I'm risking my life, even if I go out, even if I don't go out, I won't be at peace. So going out never amounted to what I think people make it seem like. Like, oh, we're going to have fun. Let's go out. It's going to make you feel better. No, what's going to make you feel better is if you actually have peace in your mind, peace in your soul. And the way that you have those things is being free from all things that try to keep you attach themselves to you, right? The less burden, the less bother from anything or anyone. That's what peace is ultimately. Like it's a place, it's a space, it's an entity of clarity, tranquility, serenity, right? So yeah, nothing but you. And you better hope you are who you should be, because in your own self there could be chaos. And then that's when you run to someone or something, or you turn on the TV, or you can't have just peace. No. Because peace should be in your mind. It's not outside of you. You can try to find it. You can try to make something outside of you peaceful, like, oh, let me change my room around, because that's the spirit trying to compensate for what, for what it is. Like, we're on the surface, we're in the body, so it's like the eyes can see the flesh, and it's just like, okay, well, this, I need to change this around or throw this away because it's not bringing me peace. But really, the peace starts within, and then it pours out in the physical world. Meaning, I try to bring what I dream into reality, into this reality. Right? I'm trying to go back to that place. I'm trying to be that version. I'm trying to remember it. I'm trying to go back to it. That is the root. That is the foundation of my inspiration. So when I open my eyes to this world, all my spirit is doing is reacting to what it doesn't have. It knows, it just doesn't see. So yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that, because I know that's real. People people won't change, you see, unless it's God doing it for them. And that's why I keep saying it. Someone could get shot. Doesn't mean they're gonna stop being in the streets doing their little thing. People can catch a disease. Doesn't mean they're gonna stop having sex. Nope. People don't change. People only change if it was never them in the first place. Right? Like, I never was no fast girl. I wasn't raised like that, and I didn't want to say it like that. That's why I always say, if that's not who you've been or who you are, because regardless if you had a crazy upbringing or sheltered upbringing, or you say you're not a fast girl, it all comes down to who you are regardless. Right? Because I could not have a father, I could have not had a mother figure. Okay, but that doesn't, it's statistically, there's statistics that may base you in a category, but it's not to say that, oh, because if you have without, or, that's the one thing that you're going to go for. Like, if you never had friends, you're definitely going to make sure you have friends. Or if you never had a father figure, you're going to go after older men. It's like, you can do it if you want to do it. You can do it regardless. Yeah, is it statistically higher? Okay, there's a percentage. But my point is that it really comes down to who you are. That's it. See, I just speak like just straight. Like, ain't no, well, if in you have statistics, they teach you that percentage. We're speaking about the foundation, like straight to the point. Let's get it. As much as I do talk, I still make sure to get straight to the point. So there's a lot of points. That's my point. There's a lot of points. We get to the point and everything. And so it comes down to who you are. And I use myself as an example. Even if I didn't have a father figure, which I probably didn't, biologically, obviously, wouldn't that make me need a man? Statistically, wouldn't that make me want a man? Wouldn't that make me yearn for an older? All these things statistically. But I'm here. I like to be alone, sleep alone, be by myself. And I also want to add to that, I can wait. It's not that I don't want those things or clearly need it to that extent, but I can wait. Like, I'm not desperate for it. So there's something in that. Like I said, it's spiritual because it really comes down to who you are. I do have understanding, and I do understand. No one is supposed to be alone. No one should be alone. It doesn't feel nice. Of course, I'm sure I do this. But there's also that core, like, who are you? That is what's going to help you go through all of this. All of this, not normalcy. Like, the way you feel, oh, we shouldn't be alone. Right, it's not normal. Okay, what helps me is who I am. Because it's true. It's never going to be normal to be alone. But it's necessary, right? It's used for a friend when you need it. Discipline. And so I see how when I was quote unquote punished, now seeing it was just isolation and being built up and trained, it got me to become this stronger version because he knew one day that even without a father figure, even without a strong male influence in my life per se, that I was going to need this sort of strength in this area when it came to being alone in the world, let alone not even just from men, just anyone, right? I could just let anyone in my home, anything. Like, he wanted to make sure that I always knew that I had a place here. I was going to be okay here if I ever, whenever I came to this place, right? This place of isolation, this was the place to go. This is a safe space. So it's just familiar to me, and it's a friend. No, it's never gonna be equal to having someone. Come on now. But you need training. Yes, you need discipline. And you need it when you're growing up. And I'm sure you know that because you're grown now and you don't want nobody telling you what to do. And it's just like, okay, I'm grown. Okay. You're right. And that's why Father, for me, and I ain't about to tell you no myth. This is a real story. For me, he trained me from birth. Always been isolated. Always. Right? Always been the black sheep. It didn't just start when I was 10. No, it started from the beginning. I seen it in my own family. From my aunt, from my uncle, from my cousins. I seen it everywhere I went. And each year I was just getting older. Each year, 365 days. I remember being here at 25, being here at 24, 20, 19, 18, 15. This is a familiar place. Maybe the actual physical home is different. But me sitting on my bed, white walls around me sitting up, and me like coming to that understanding, like we've been here before, right? When I was 20 and there was a holiday going on and I was just sitting in the dark room, not, purposely. I probably had fell asleep and woke up and it was late, but it happened to be Thanksgiving, right? And I sat there and I would say, this is nothing new. This is the same thing, right? Because say this is 20, 21, 22. Well, this was 18, 17, 16, 15, right? Because I was ICE punished, never was able to actually come out the room for any holiday or anything like that. So now that I was older and I actually chose not to celebrate these things, but I also still didn't have community, still didn't have friends, it helped that as well, to where it was like, this is the same thing, right? And of course, I wasn't going to make friends just for the sake of it, just for the sake of me having a place to go for the holidays. Come on now, who would I be? I'm solid. So it's just like, no, he knew that I was going to need that discipline. Just like he knew I was going to go through this in the world. So it equals out. It's not even just like, oh, I put you through discipline. No, it's also how the world treated you. It's how they were going to treat you. So it worked out equally. Like they did what they were supposed to do, and they did it sort of on behalf of him, right? Like my adversaries had the authority. But in my eyes, I know that, of course, he knew that, right? He was in control of that. He allowed that for all good reason. So we never hate our adversaries, or at least I don't. Because, again, what they truly do, they helped me, right? They kept me away. They shunned me away. They didn't invite me. So if they left me in the room, they did a good thing, And now that I'm a year older, and this becomes familiar, it just keeps strengthening me. Been down south for a while, but it's been strengthening me. And again, you're gonna need it. Look, I'm in my 30s. You could be in your 40s, you could be in your 50s, 60s. You know what I'm saying. Because you done already been out there. You've probably been out there. And then just from what can happen, what the future holds, how it get cold, how it's getting colder. You need discipline. You hear so many folks, and we speaking of grown folks now, not children, so many grown folks that is scared of isolation, scared of being alone. And this is nothing, again, it's nothing to them. I'm just acknowledging it. That you need discipline. Like you need training. You need isolation growing up. And that's why. Because isolation never gets like, I don't want to say that. Isolation will never change. Like my familiar friend is lone. Like, I don't know what to say. Alone. Isolation is my friend. It's being alone, right? That's what it's saying. You're going to be alone with me in the quiet. Okay? I was like, yeah. Because that's what it's going to be. It's never going to change. So you got to face it, because it's not going to change ever. I didn't want to say it's going to be easier or it doesn't get easy. I didn't want to say that. Well, I will say this. It does get easier. But I didn't want to say it because it's better for me to say it just doesn't change. Because I know people don't like it, right? Because it's like, ugh, there's nothing to do. Just be in your head. And there's pros and cons, because when you don't have anything to do, that's when you're can be most inspired or not motivated, right? It's a comfort place. So yeah. So I've been through all those stages where, I made this place a comfort place, and I used it, to be comforted, right? Like, I'm home by myself. I'm gonna do what I want to do, eat what I want to eat, feel comfortable, feel comforted. But then it's also a place where my Father is, where I go to him in a quiet place and I talk to him and I release, right? So it's pros and cons. It's just balancing all of it. Like, yeah, it can still be your comfort place and you can still eat comfort food, but not the way you was eating it. You know what I'm saying? Not those yeah, no. Gluttony is a lie. But yeah, so the spiritual warfare differs, and that's kind of how it does. You see these people in the world, you would never think they go through anything. Almost like their soul is nothing's waging against their soul, because their body's dead. You see what I'm saying? Like, their eyes are dark, right? They blind. They acting oblivious. I don't know why, but that's what I'm saying. Like, because it's spiritual. If nothing is waging war against your soul, you gonna be sick and still out there partying. You still gonna be old out there acting like you a baby. But when there's a fight for your soul, it gets deep. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't be out here. You're gonna feel it. Whether I'm old or young, I shouldn't be out here, right? Or I shouldn't be doing this. Oh, but everyone else is doing it, and I'm young, you're young, live free, party up, and it's just like, but I shouldn't be doing this. You see, all those outer things, surface things, fleshly things don't matter anymore. They never did. What matters is the soul. Am I selling my soul right now? Am I gonna lose my soul? Am I gonna lose my spirit? Am I gonna lose my sanity if I do this? Right? I'm risking my soul. I'm risking my sanity. Right? And Father knew that. Of course, some people might not look at it so deeply, but by me explaining it, you start to understand, why your spirit feels a certain way, why it feels discernment, even if you choose not to listen to it, because it is that deep. Because now you risk your life. Now you risk your mind and your soul, right? But it could be avoided. And that's what I mean. You want to just hope that you're covered. You just want to hope that you have a father. Yeah, people be worried about their biological father. No, you better worry about your father of fathers. Yeah. Worry about that, man. Because this is a spiritual warfare. And that's what makes us different. My father makes sure I wasn't going to be like that, or wasn't going to stay like that. Stay in or go down that direction. That's the way my father treats me. So it just means, okay, if I have to keep her, however I'm going to do it, she has to be here. I got to do it. Right? And I'm going to do it without having to break her heart or break her soul or her sanity. Because that's horrible. Right? To have to learn your lesson in the horrendous way. And even still, people go through horrendous things and still don't learn the lesson. Like I said, people are out here catching things and are still going out there risking even more things happen to them and other people. Again, I'm not here to say you should or do you. I'm just acknowledging it. I'm just acknowledging it. And even with acknowledging that, that should show you might need to slow down, to stop, right? Take time, be more intentional. Because that's just the right thing to say. It's just the right thing to say. And I'm over here wanting to live life. I'm ready for life. I say, Father, take the chains off. Take the muzzle off, baby. Let me be. He said, no. No. The few times he let me be, I was disappointed. I would never do that again. True story. Like that same week that I was telling you about the few people that had access to me, right? So the three associates, acquaintances, one of them, right? This was a movie date or something like that. I don't even want to call it a date. Was it romantic? No. Anyway, were we together? No. Okay. So acquaintance, but it was a movie thing. And the person was like, oh, let's go to the movies. I was like, oh, that's different. Okay, cool. And so I was like, all right. And then, wait, hold on. Because I think I'm getting this mixed up with someone. But regardless, this incident, it was an incident where I was knowing that I needed to delete this person. Because if I deleted this person, this was going to be the last one, right? This was it. I remember because I was knowing what was going on. I was realizing it in the spirit. Don't ask me. Just know in that time I knew what I needed to know at the time I needed to know it. Period. Right? So yeah, it was something that I already had realized within that week, that I was like, yeah, I'm about to delete this person. Something little, but I'm on deleting thing, right? I was already deleting social media, all those things. He was like, next, keep going. And then the person was like, yeah, let's go to the movies. Mind you, I was already about to delete this person. And then they're like, and I was like, Father, something like, let me be. I said that to him. How dare you? It was something more to it. It was like either the person had canceled on me that same week, or it was just something like little though. Something that they never did before. So that's what I meant when I said earlier, it might seem a certain way, like I was seeming entitled or something or whatever, or self-centered, but no, it was just the spirit. Like he wanted to make sure, like he knew the way my integrity was set up. So truth be told, yes, I do have an integrity like that, but I think it just stems from a place where, since I haven't really messed with many people, and I never had any expectations from these people. I never had to be let down so much. Like, so it only take you one time. And that one time I'm gonna be shocked. I'm gonna be like, what? Because it's not something that's normal. So, and it shouldn't be normal, right? No one should be lying to you. No one, for what? What are you lying for? No one should be standing you up. Like, who does that? Who began stood up? You know what I mean? Like, he saved me from most of that, right? But it was enough to where, okay, it happened once. It's like, oh wow, what the heck, like delete. That's my point. It happened so little that I always just deleted the person, or I'll never see this person again. I never got so used to it or so immune to it to where it's like, oh, that's just how people are, and it's okay, we'll keep him, or I'm gonna keep his contact, or I'm gonna still talk to him. No, you see the power that you give that spirit without even knowing. Before I even knew that I was not giving that spirit any power, I did it off my integrity, right? Like my integrity wouldn't allow me to like allow someone to even cancel on me and think they was just gonna like talk to me the next day. Like, hold up, sir, explain yourself. It better not happen again. All right, continue. You see what I mean? Like, it's the warning. It's like, okay, but it don't happen again. You see what I mean? It wasn't happening. So anyway, so it was something like that, right? And mind you, it was spiritual because I was already wanting to delete naturally. So of course he made things happen in the spirit to where it was like, why is everyone making plans with me in the same week? And again, I only know a few people, so I was like, why is everyone trying to make plans and then for some reason they all canceled? And for some reason I just want to delete them all, right? Because I'm already having this awakening. Like, that's what was happening. So it was like, I'm sure they were just like, what happened? But it just worked out because once they were deleted, it was almost like they were blocked. Like, that was it. There was no contact, no going back type thing. But yeah, it was something like that. And then I remember feeling into my spirit, like, when I got the text, like, oh, you want to go to the movies today? Sorry about last week, or something like that. Something like that. And in my spirit, I knew I just wanted to delete this person. Because I might have even said it in the text. I was like, maybe I didn't, but I knew when it happened, the cancellation, I was going to delete the person then. But I think I didn't. I hesitated and I kept this person for a few more days because I knew that they would probably text back, right? Because I knew if I was going to delete this person, I was going to block them. But so the person ended up, and then I remember feeling it, and I said out loud, I said, just let me be, Father. And boy, I tell you, when I went, it was just a little thing, but the vibe, like, if I was expecting, I clearly was expecting to feel something, and I got nothing. And it was like the last bit of hope, there was none. It was like that feeling where I could have just stayed home for this. It was that knowing when I went back home, Father, you were right. Right? And I told him, I was like, yeah, you were right. And it just made it a lot easier. Delete. You see? So, because again, you can have connections with these people sexually, but if there was nothing ever there spiritually, it's easy. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's just the truth. That is just the truth. So all of it was easy. All of it was easy. But of course, when it's just like, okay, I've deleted everyone, I've deleted everything, but maybe this person's going to text me and, try to make up for it. But it's just like, you already have your mind made up, but I still just wanted to, be in control at that time. And I was like, just let me be. And I knew it was so real because I said it out loud, right? I said, let me be, Father, because I felt it in my spirit. Because he know what, he's seen it before I seen it. He was like, girl, you acting like he the one, or you acting like you want him to be the one, or you acting like anyway. so that was it. I just deleted everything and I just kept forward. And then we're here. So I'm just rambling at this point, but it's pretty much always going to be the same message, though. What can you take from this? Key points? Well, whatever you can. Shoe fits, wear it. One being that it's better to be safe. That's it for that one. Isolation is a friend, not an enemy. If you feel it in your gut, your spirit, trust it. That's your guide. There is a spiritual war against certain people's soul, particularly them, right? Because we already discussed this. If he has your soul already, then what do you think he's after? Right, not you. So, that being said, if you're your father's daughter or son, he has you. So whoever your father is, hey, that's your business for you to realize and find out. But if you are his child, you will be doing the work of him. He will make sure of it. Now, unless you're just one of these programs, I'm being funny, but unless you're just one of these programs that are just sleep out here and don't make use of their bodies other than just to be a vessel for anything and everything, then be those people. But if you're actually a child of God, because that's how we recognize it. Yes, everyone can say, oh, I'm a child of God. And yeah, you probably are. But the way I recognize it is the works. So it's like we're talking about those particular souls that the devil is after. That's my point. He's not going to be after souls that just don't even do work. He's not going to be after you. Because there's no point. Like, I don't want you on my team, right? Like, there's nothing special about you. You don't have any like integrity. You don't have any built up strength that like why are you even here? You know, usually he would probably keep you around to be the house nigger, you know, or the snitch. That's what you're good for, you know what I mean? Because usually them lack integrity and pride and dignity. No one respects those people. But yeah, so that's horrible. But it's true. So those particular souls, that's how I identify it. There's a spiritual warfare against your soul, your spirit. And you'll know it as a person. Well, at least the ones that are, they know it. Because there's a lot of people that think they know it. Because there's different classifications in the spirit. Just like there's different classifications on the surface. And so that's what I'm trying to explain, that Satan's after everyone's soul, right? He wants everyone to stay stuck and sleep and under his control. Okay? But if God has a purpose for you, like for example, it's easy if I just say me, like I'm on the council. I'm not just trying to be in the kingdom. I'm not just trying to make it to heaven. I'm not just trying to be invited to the banquet. No, like I actually have high standards. I look to the heavens. Like I look higher, you know? I want to be in the council. Like I want to do my Father's work. That purpose. When you have such a purpose like that, that's a different classification versus a person just going to heaven or making it to the wedding. I'm not, and that's another thing. A lot of people are just doing things just for that reason, just to make it to heaven, just to be invited to a banquet. I'm not doing it to be invited to a banquet, because it's more than that. I want to be on a council because I stand for justice. I want to put things right. I want to make sure the children are surrounded with love. They're protected. That's the purpose that's in me. Like, that is what I want to do. That's where I want to be. And then, if I'm invited to the banquet, if I go to the kingdom, okay. So which soul, there's a difference. Do you see that? So I'm not saying that you're lower or anything. You can make it to heaven. But it all depends on who you are and what you want to do. You don't want to do those things. Right? So that just means you don't want that purpose. You don't. But everyone has a purpose, right? But not this purpose. It's like people be so quick to be like, well, God has a purpose for me. Okay, well, when he does, do you want to do it? Do you want to do the work? And your actions should speak for you, because no one should have to ask you what your purpose is or if you're going to do the work that is required. It should be already just ingrained in you, like, oh, this person's going to change the world one day. This person's going to be on the council. This person must be God's worker. Before God even appoints this person or puts a crown on their head or judges them before the world. You see what I mean? Everyone's like, oh, we got purpose. And it's just like, okay, what purpose? What is your purpose? Is your purpose just to get to heaven? Or is your purpose to work for the kingdom? And if it is, and if you are claiming to be a worker, what are your works? What are you doing? Because then if you are a worker, then you actually have to be working, not in the flesh, in the spirit. Because working in the flesh is working for man. You're a servant, you're a slave here. This is a system. You're making your money, you're getting rewards. He talks about the rewards that are in heaven. Those rewards, you got to get those rewards by doing his work. So when you think that you're preaching the gospel and you're getting paid for it, or you feel that you're only doing it to get paid for it, or you're getting paid for it, which is fine, but then the money that you get from it, you're not actually working for him. See what I mean? That reveals it. Because you already got that position through man, through the world. But even through your connections, you still could have been working in the Lord, but your actions show otherwise. Because now you're in these man-made churches, and you got this seat because worldly ways, through school or whatever. But the money that you're receiving, what are you doing with it? I don't have to act. Your actions will speak for you. Right? I'm just a human. God knows. You ain't got to tell me. You could lie. It's fine. It's already done. But since I am on here reflecting, you're not out here feeding the children. You're not out here building sanctuaries, orphanages for my babies. You're not supplying them with fruit and vegetables and water daily with all the money that you're getting. It shouldn't be once a year or twice a year or 3 times a year or 6 times a year or once a month. No, it should be every day. How much money are you making? And it's also government funded. So you don't even need money from the people. You're getting money from the government. You're getting paid just to run this business, right? This church, this foundation. And then you're also getting money from the people. And even if it isn't government funded, still, what are you doing with the money? Well, I have to pay my rent. I gotta pay. This is how I pay my bills. Okay. So your work, you consider your work. Okay. Take it up with the Father. I'm just acknowledging that I hope that your works will show. Because there's nothing in the world more valuable than the children. So what I mean is, any little money that I could have or could be given would go to them. You know why? Because I don't need nothing. I don't want nothing. But it takes a certain mind to know that, to believe that, to feel that, to be that. It doesn't take a certain age. No. Because then you got these people on TV that's preaching the gospel, but they got all these fancy cars, fancy houses. Lord knows. Multi-millionaires on private jets and first class. Like, how much money does that cost? Why so fancy? Again, I mean, do what you want to do. I'm just, again, like, where does it come from? Like, why so fancy? Like, why does it have to be so extreme? Why can't you just take a second class ticket? You know, why you gotta be third class ticket? Or we gotta be first class? How much is that? I'm sure that's expensive. And that money could have gone to the children. Someone unfortunate. That's it. So your works will tell on you. It's not always just about, oh, I can do what I want with my money. You can. Of course. But now you want to get into my Father's house. Now you want to be invited to his kingdom. Well, you're going to answer to your works. And are you going to sit up there and say, well, I was making all this money, but I chose to do what I wanted to do with it because I could? Okay. Well, you've not been a worker of his, so depart from him and go back where you was a worker. And that's it. And I'll leave it there.